How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dyson Sphere Program. Hope you guys have been enjoying the series so far. If you guys have, you guys don't do all those fun things, smash the like button if you haven't already. Consider subscribing, it helps out the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave those down below. Let's get right into it. So, at the end of last episode, we kind of laid a lot of the foundations we need for the deuterium setup. But we also started setting up a lot of the foundations for finishing off green science, or at least part of green science, because there's two components we need, and we're pretty much on the verge of getting that second component that we need. However, as you're about to see, I have almost no belts left. I have spent the thousands of belts we made a few episodes ago, and so now it's going to be time to make several thousand more belts, as it always is. But we're also going to need to move the current deuterium production, or rather the old line of deuterium production, up a little bit. And then at some point we're going to have to move these mini fusion reactors. I don't know when. I also don't know where we're going to put them. But they're all going to have to move, so that way we can get enough deuterium production, because we need like 350 machines, I think. As for a lot of the other builds we're going to need, we're also going to try to get as much set up as we can in terms of like spacing and things. However, we're starting to notice that, well, I guess rather I'm starting to notice that we're kind of nearing the end of usable area, at least in a line, before I have to start filling in more like water and things. So we're gonna have to do another big landfill grab. So I'll probably have to go off to one of the other star systems that I haven't flattened yet, so that way I can get a bunch of the earth, or I guess terrain chunks, so that way I can build up the area and then go ahead and place down a bunch of foundations to then expand the factory. A couple of other things that we're gonna have to work on is just the overall amount of things in my inventory, because we have a lot of factorizers and we also have a lot of the oil wells, so we're probably gonna have to go through and place a lot of that. I know a lot of what we have has been built slash ratioed for either builds we're going to do or builds we need to do, and I guess those two go very much hand in hand. And so now, of course, it's that time of trying to get everything put together to make the like 6,000 belt that we're gonna need. And of course, here I am struggling to manage my inventory, that I feel like every time I clear it out, I somehow find a way to fill it back up. It's, I don't know, I think it's the rationale that if you have available space for stuff, whether it's like the top of your desk or a drawer, which are usually notorious for this, or just any available space, right? The human mind finds a way to fill it up, right? So if you have a drawer, you probably just put things in it, right? As most people do with drawers. And then as it fills up, you proceed to then go, okay, well, now I no longer have to find stuff to put there, right? And then in the case of like a desk or a like countertop, you go, okay, well, there's some open space. So then you put some things there so it doesn't look empty. Then, of course, you add some more things. Then eventually you quickly realize, wow, all my counters are full of things. I have no counter space. But then if you were to downsize from what you currently had, or even expanded, you'd see that you would continue to add to it. Or in the case of downsizing, you would find yourself able to clear out things that you previously couldn't. And not necessarily because you had to, although that is one factor. But you find yourself realizing that, wait a second, there's just a weird satisfyingness, or I guess quality to having it filled enough, right? And the same is true in this, is you find ways to kind of fill planets unnecessarily. At least I do. A couple other things, we have to finish clearing out the some of these older builds. I think this is actually one of the last builds that we have to clear, but otherwise we should be good. I say should, but there's a highly unlikelihood that we will actually be good. I'm really excited though to see the factory finally like get operating again, because then once I finish this factory, then I'm gonna start looking at either ways to optimize it one up. Oh, and some not really surprising news, but for those of you who've been following Dyson Sphere Program, should have seen a couple days ago. Well, for me it was a couple days ago. For you guys, it was probably a week or two ago at this point, when the developer of the game put out their, I think it was their announcement of the PvE enemy type. Apparently it's coming in December. So that's a lot sooner than I was expecting, and because of that, I don't know what the plans for this series / Dyson Sphere as a whole on the channel will be. So I have thought option 1, if it's compatible, running this save into the new update. Now I doubt it will be compatible, because very rarely do I see a game have backwards compatible saves when major content like that is added. But if it is, we'll just continue the save for a little bit. Or I guess I'll have to test it out and see what it's like. Option 2 that I was thinking is not necessarily restart, but it would be a new save entirely. So in that regards, yes, it would be restarting, but I would jump past a lot of things. Right, so things that we've done before, and by that I mean like setting up a lot of the early game stuff. Like we'll probably do that, right? Early starter base and things, but some of the mid game would probably be cut out unless it was new in terms of having different like functionality or different mechanics that changed the way it played. So as of right now, things in the game are fairly linear. You do one thing, you do the next. But if the enemy types change things up, right, where, okay, well now I have to focus more on my defense, like in Factorio, where you kind of have to change things up, then that would probably be more of its thing. So I'm probably thinking of that. I'm also trying to decide right now if I want to do like a full series, like 60 episodes or whatever, or if I want to do more of a shortened, just highlight the new mechanics. I'll probably do a poll for it at some point so that everybody on the channel can see it, because in case you're an individual who did not watch this video, which those people never know about this, but if that's an individual who never watched this video but say watched all the other episodes, well, they wouldn't know about it. So I'll probably do an actual poll at some point, but basically, would you guys rather a shortened, more condensed Dyson series that primarily just focuses on the new mechanics and kind of cuts out a lot of the other things that we've seen in this series, or would you rather have another Dyson Sphere series, just obviously in the new update? So we just basically have a whole nother series of this probably whenever the update launches. Assuming we're done with this one by then. We should be. I'm guessing we'll finish this series by the end of October, so that gives us like a month break in between. But like I said, if you'd rather see a shortened, condensed version of the series, but just more with the new updates content rather than kind of a lot of what we've already seen, definitely leave that down in the comments. And of course, if you want to see just a full playthrough like we're doing here, but just including those mechanics, then we can do that as well. It is also important to note that the format, so the current format is I play for usually an hour, hour and a half, and then I just speed it up and then add in this commentary over top. However, if I did a new series, for the most part, it will be live recorded. So I will be doing the commentary as I'm actively playing it, similar to how the series first started. But now if I get to portions where I'm just grinding through building things and whatnot, then I'll probably switch to this here and there. But again, definitely leave your guys' input for what you want to see. Do you want to see more of a shortened form? Kind of this standard form? Do you want more of the behind the scenes shown but sped up like this? Or would you rather it just be more condensed and kind of more edited in terms of cutting out a lot of the less interesting features, I suppose? I don't know. I mean, I guess technically at the end of the day I decide what ends up happening, but I will definitely take all your guys' input under consideration, as it helps me make decisions. One of the reasons that I have to hand place all these, in case anybody's wondering, is because of where it's located on the planet. So it's at one of those weird like zones where, because the way blueprinting works from my observations are, the build's too wide to place where it is. And I guess I could try to blueprint half of it and then blueprint the other half just on the other side of the line. I don't know. I wish they changed a little bit and it wasn't such a hard and set rule, but like I get why it's there to just be more of a system check so you don't accidentally place things inside of each other, but I don't know. I feel like there could have been a better implementation of it, at least from my perspective. I'm sure I'm wrong. Hey, I got another achievement. I will say I'm starting to enjoy just playing and getting these achievements, which is really fun. They're not too difficult to get, which is nice. Well, I guess the ones I've gotten so far are not too difficult. They're fairly, I guess, standard in terms of what an achievement should be. Now, whether or not we'll get all of them in the series, I don't know. Maybe we'll try to get all of them before the new update. Hopefully the new update adds achievements. That'd be good. I will say, trying to pick up liquid in this game, although it isn't necessarily hard, is such a pain in the butt. Especially when you have thousands of liquid all over the ground like this, and because of the way they stack. I know it's kind of too late, but if you guys have any suggestions for easy cleanup of all this fluid, by all means. The only way I have right now is just picking everything up and then manually doing it that way, one inventory at a time. But if there's just a quick way to like grab one item and then like hover up and vacuum up all the others, that would be greatly appreciated. And of course we gotta continue queuing up all of the belts, all the blue belts we're gonna need. I will say, our little market right over there for all the storage has been very nice, because it just helps us use up the little, like, tiniest of bits and bobs that exist, but unfortunately you can't really put them back into the system. It's kind of the home for lost resources, but we try to put them to use. Although we might set up something to just return them to like a local sorting area. It might be interesting to try to implement. I will say the deuterium setup we have right now is such an annoyance because So on the left-hand side, I could blueprint that side entirely, but the right-hand side, because all the factorizers are not placed in the same spot, means the grid underneath them does not line up perfectly, meaning that if I try to blueprint them, they just won't blueprint because things won't all line up properly. Now, I haven't actually tested it, so I'm not sure if we could, and the game has a built-in feature to kind of handle that, or if we're just going to be screwed and it just won't let us blueprint it because it's not the same grid as the blueprint was blueprinted on. But I don't know, I guess we'll have to find out at some point. In other interesting news for the channel, I am going to try to start getting the RimWorld series recorded. That's going to be replacing either this or Minecraft here soon. I was going to do it this weekend, but I ran out of time because unfortunately I had a bunch of homework I had to work on. But I think either this coming weekend's recording sessions, I'll try to squeeze it in there, or I'll try to squeeze it in the following week. So definitely be on the lookout for that. That won't be on any sort of schedule. What I think I'll do for that is when I do eventually get around to having time to record it, what I'll end up doing is I'll record the first episode, so probably episode 0. So again, just like the current RimWorld series that is out on the channel, I'll go over a lot of the kind of beginner mechanics and stuff like that. So if you don't want to watch any of that sort of like intro things about the game and like how some of the things work, then for that I would recommend probably just skipping to episode 1, which won't come out for at least a week after. So what I might end up doing is starting to record RimWorld and do something like Minecraft Dyson RimWorld, right? So like Minecraft on Mondays, no coincidence, but just Minecraft on Mondays, DSP on Wednesday, and then do RimWorld on like say Friday or something. I don't know. The more I think about it, and the more I like do some of the planning and like talk about it here on the channel, I really want to get back into RimWorld because the series, unfortunately, that's out right now does end abruptly. But I also I really enjoy the game, and I want to get better at it, but I also want to help newer players understand a lot of the like nuances to the game, because if it's a type of game that if you haven't played something like it before, it does get a little bit confusing with some of its things. And I'm not saying the game doesn't do a good job at explaining some of the stuff, but it definitely could do a better job at it, that's for sure. Alright, well, unfortunately, I think we're going to call it here, as there's a lot of just moving, or rather having to move around hydrogen and deuterium left for us today, and with belts crafting and whatnot. So we at least got a bunch of things set up, so once all the belts are finished crafting, we can really begin to kind of get off to the races. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys did, if you guys are new, smash the like button. If you haven't already, consider subscribing, as those things help out with the algorithm. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave those down below. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Peace out.